let me also greet and welcome our department. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay. Okay, ma'am. Now I'm starting the meeting, Mama. Honorable members, I was saying that let me take this opportunity. Mute Mama Kaula. Ivale Mama. Yes.
Okay, my love.
Yes. Let me welcome honorable members this morning, and also welcome our department, and welcome all our visitors, leadership of the entities which are with us, leaders of sport fraternities which are with us, our staff who always make sure that all is well with us, of both the department, also of our committee. I'm taking this opportunity to welcome you, saying that as now we are seeing that we are getting to another third variant, that we must take care of our good self first and foremost, and take care of our families, but also being public representatives. Let's take care of the communities. Let's try to persuade them to do the correct things. That this thing is like a chameleon now. It changes its color. Call them names, and each and every 3 to 4 months it will showing its head, ugly head. Let's try to do whatever we think that it can assist and save our lives. If you feel that you don't want to take vaccine, it's upon you. You've got a right to go and take the vaccine. And if you don't, it's also your right. But some of us were persuading that can we persuade each and everyone to go and take a vaccine, as we were grown up in the society that we were taking vaccine during our stages, very little ones, your polio, your measles, your flu vaccine. I don't know what is now that you are afraid of taking this one. Mask, social distance is our daily bread. And then I would love now that by doing that, I will check whether we are all here, but we'll do that when we're doing apologies. Honorable members, I will call you to adopt this proposed agenda. The agenda is in front of our gadgets. I'm proposing the adoption of the agenda. We don't have members of parliament today in this meeting.
We do, Chair.
But why are you keeping quiet?
Why here, Chairperson? Sorry.
Chairperson?
The problem, Chair, is that you need to raise your hand and it takes time to cover lezi zinto. But we don't have a problem in adopting.
Okay, I'm sorry also. I'm having a hand of Honorable Veronica and the hand of Honorable Maloman. I'm sorry also I didn't open that side of participants. So I was looking just in front of me, the agenda. I'm very sorry, Honorable Member. Honorable Van Dijk.
Chairperson, I'll move for adoption.
Honorable Malomani.
Morning, I'm seconding the adoption of the agenda, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Members. May I get apologies?
Good morning, Madam Chair. We have an apology from the Minister who is accompanying the President on a state visit to Nigeria. And we also have an apology from Mr. Madlingozi, who is not well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I'm putting you that you must note these apologies, Honorable Members. Are you noting them? I'm seeing the hand of Honorable Mhlongo.
Morning, Chair. Thank you very much.
Morning.
I wanted to raise another concern. I always raise this concern with the Minister not prioritizing our meeting. I think, Chair, we'll ask you to write an email to him, a letter to him, and ask him, is he aware of these dates? Because I believe that he must prioritize internal issues. He's not a Minister of International Affairs, he's a Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture. And what is happening internally here now, I'm concerned, since we came back from the recess, I've never seen him. He never came to us an account. And we have question and answers next week, but we've never even engaged with him. Nonetheless, please note our dissent on his apology. Thank you.
Honorable Members, the mandate that I'm asked to take is that with this apology, I did last time, Honorable Mhlongo is correct, I did last time saying that there is a leader of business in the executive, and when any minister is not with us, they do know the whereabouts of those ministers. So I would love that, Honorable Members, this issue of minister, and last time it was even our deputy minister who also was given task by executive. I don't know what is the role of chairperson when the executive to president and to the leader of business are giving a task to ministers. What must I do as a chairperson? I'm seeing the hand of Honorable Notawe Mafu, who is a deputy minister, maybe is trying to assist me, and Honorable Malomani. Thank you, Honorable Members. DM.
Thank you very much, Chair, and good morning to the members of the committee. Whilst we note the concern of Honorable Mhlongo, which is a genuine concern which we will take up, but we must also remember that when President does state visits, he chooses ministers that he must go with, because it depends on the agenda that will be discussed there. Amongst the things that are going to be discussed in Nigeria is the issue of the relationship on the arts and culture side. So Minister Mtetwa is not the only minister that has gone with the president. And they are not only the ministers of international relations that have gone with the ministers. There's a lot of them: Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Environment are part of that delegation. But we know what Mr. Honorable Mhlongo is saying. But I just wanted to clarify that the delegations that are chosen to go with the president depends on the agenda of that particular country that is being visited. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable DM, Honorable Maloman.
Thank you, Chair. I think you also assisted because even last we deliberated on this issue of attendance, and we finalized that if there are challenges that needs the minister to account, we can also write to the minister so that the minister can account to us. If there are things that we see that it needs the minister, but I'm happy because today the deputy minister is part of us. If there are things that we need to ask as a committee, the deputy minister will clarify other issues. But if there are issues that are needed to be answered by the minister, let us as a committee put them the questions or anything that we're concerned of, and then the minister will respond. So we still have that obligation to that. If we've got any queries, we can write to the minister. I think we can continue. We're noting and accepting the apologies as presented. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable members, yes, I wanted that we must remember that really the Honorable Mhlongo and other members, they were having this concern, and we did not to entertain. We responded, and we're even thinking that we are not alone in the meeting. There is an office of the minister, but let's take this clarification and contribution, noting also what Honorable Mhlongo is saying, that we must note. Thank you, honorable members. Can honorable members get to, let me take this opportunity.
My point of order.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Honorable Mhlongo. Yes, Honorable.
Sorry, Chair. I've raised my hand. I see the problem now. Nonetheless, I was
thinking that is an old hand. I'm sorry.
Wanted to raise a concern. Members think that the minister is accountable to the president. The minister is accountable even to us as a committee. We've never seen him this month, even last month. We've never seen him. Who is he accountable to? He must come to us and account. He doesn't even account to emails. He's not responding to my emails. For information, honorable member, minister is not even responding to our emails. So you want us to engage him via email, but he's not responsive. Now, nonetheless, thank you, Deputy Minister, you are here. But I was not only raising a concern for today. It has been a while, I think a month and a half, that the minister is absent. Please note our dissent. We are not supporting his apology. Thank you.
Chairperson.
Oh, yes, Mama Kaula, I've seen your hand is up.
Nginibongelele ebahlonishwa nonke nawe esihlalo lapho ngaphambili. No, mina ngithi nami angishayile isipikile kunjomani. Honorable Njomani right. Why ngithi right now? Uminister uyena kanye ufuneka asiphendule impendulo eziqonde ngqo. Ngiphinde ngizomsekela la mina myself kunama email engimsendela wona ungomunye uminister onenkinga ongawaphendula ama email. Angazi ngoba ngisuke ngibhale ngesizulu mhlambe ngathi English vela kulona ulimi lakhe lebele akayiphendula inhlobo. So manje siyalimala thina chairperson, even now uqobo phela icommittee lakho njengo chairperson. I'm not think ukuthi kufanele kube lokuthi nje kukhulunywe kuphela. Kufanele kukhulunywe kubonakala ukuthi kwenzakalani. Uyabo? Ngoba yena vele wavuma ukuthi uzoba uminister of the portfolio committee. Otherwise even nenkinga usengamnika nalo ngicela kuba wena ozoba ulokhuzo minister, mina ngizoba i-deputy minister ngoba ubuye yena khohlwe yila ofanele account ekhona. lo mnyango nje unenkinga through ukuthi yena kunezinto ofuna sithi nasibuze kuyena not la u-deputy minister honorable uNocawu no eqondene naye ngqo ama-question othi ufike uwaphethe uziwabuza akekho yena kwawena ongeke waphendule mana ngalo ndlela asilwi ibhaji silwa nobulungiswa awukwazi ukuthi yena kuzothi ngesikhathi esimbi kanje la abantu bakithi sifuna ukubona bethola izinto zabo siphuma kubona kuma-election yena manje b uyaphuma uyangaphandle nopresident ukhona umsizi kapresident wayengahambi naye akarizane-ke kule portfolio committee vele kakade uney'nkinga efanele sigcine silibekile vele kakade le committee alimfanele uyehluleka kulona ngiyabonga.
Honorable members, I'll write what you asked me to do. And I've taken note of what Honorable Mhlongo, Honorable Malomani, Honorable Makaula is saying, and our office is listening. Will assist. We've heard UDM. So thank you, honorable members. Can you get to the next item? Honorable members, we're getting to this item. I want to tell you, honorable members, that you must not blame our office, which is the first office where I'm interacting with it. The presentation of Swimming South Africa we received at 10:15 in the evening yesterday. So fortunately they are with us. Maybe we can hear from themselves what was the problem cause. Who's Sean, what do you want to say? I've seen a hand. Sean, co-host.
Thank you,
Yes,
Chair.
Yes.
Chair, please accept our sincere apologies for the delayed submission of the presentation.
I'm not yet. No, I'm not yet. I was still on the floor. I was just. I was not aware that we were a part of this Swimming South Africa. I'm talking. I was still tabling this thing to the honorable members. These honorable members, they've took decisions long ago that chairperson, your office must be hands-on to try to get the presentations in time. So I was expecting that they're going to ask us why did they get this. So I'm reporting, honorable members, that they are here. If you want to engage with them, surely that's why Mr. Sean's hand is up. And then I'm suspecting the leadership of SASCOC is here. I'm not yet seeing them here because
They are here, Chair. They are here, Chair. President is here. And the team.
Oh, okay. Oh, morning, President. We do welcome you, and we do welcome Sean as you were about to tell what is the problem. Honorable members, it's a very short briefing presentation, and I don't know. I'm putting that we did get it, but we get it past 10 in the evening. Honorable members, before you, Mr. Sean.
May I speak, Chair?
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, our sincere apologies for the delayed submission of the presentation. It's not due to any willful act or because we disrespect the committee. We've been tasked to assist the Lesotho LOC in delivering the AUSC Games, Region 5 Youth Games, which starts on the 3rd of December, and to assist them with swimming. And I have been here to assist them and have come several times in the last 14 days to come and assist them. And the facility where I am, where the swimming is taking place, is far. It's about 70 kilometers outside Maseru. And when you're up there in the mountains, it's a bit of a problem connecting. So I was only able to send the presentation when I came back from inspecting the facility and dealing with challenges that we have to sort out in the evening, and that's why the presentation came so late. I sincerely apologize, but we're here in Lesotho trying to assist Lesotho deliver these dates.
Honorable members, this is the reason and apology of getting the presentation late. Honorable members, can we give them that they must present, or maybe let's first give SASCOC and then themselves? We don't have any problem, honorable members. I see the hand of Honorable Dennis.
Good morning, Chair, and good morning, everybody, and thank you for the opportunity to ask a question. The question, Chairperson, I think in response to what we've heard from the gentleman, from Mr. Sean Adrianse, our department must now respond to that reason. So our department must tell us when last did they make contact with Mr. Adrianse, and what was the arrangements or agreement in terms of submitting presentations to us, because Mr. Adrianse obviously knew he had to submit. So the question is, when did he know? When did we inform them to come to this committee? So that, and the reason why I'm saying this, Chairperson, so that in future, if departments or entities are not ready, they would not send us the stuff on time and send it late hour, hoping that we will then send them back. And I'm not saying this is the case here. I'm just saying that our department needs to say they are happy with his response before this committee can say, yes, we accept, and then we move forward. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Dennis. Solega, can you assist us to tell the members the communication between you and this office?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We communicated with Swimming South Africa in late September regarding this meeting, and we also kept reminding them of submitting the presentation. The last time we reminded them of the submission was last week on Tuesday, and we also did remind them on Friday last week. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Honorable members, that's their response. The leadership of Swim South Africa, are you aware of what the office is saying, that they interacted with you September, and last week they've reminded you? I'm not sure whether your apology of preparing, we have been preparing since September until yesterday, 8:10. Honorable Malomane, Honorable DDG Sumaya, Honorable Nokawe. Sean, by this time your hand must be down. You're still handling this apology of yours in that order. Honorable Malomane.
Thank you, Chair. I think as a committee, we've taken a resolution that if an entity doesn't submit a report or anything for us when they're supposed to come and present in time, they must go back. But the other issue that I want to ask the department and SASCOC, because Swimming South Africa, they've sent us the document yesterday. Did they ever saw the document? Have they submitted the same document to them so that they can go through it or what? Or also they never got this report? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Malomane. Honorable DDG, Honorable President of SASCOC on this last question, and then the DM. DDG.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I think Mrs. Khan is experiencing connectivity issues because she's been coming in and out of the meeting.
Okay. The Honorable, whilst I'm welcoming you, President.
Sorry, I'm just getting network issues. But
Yes, DDG. No shame again. DDG.
Sorry, Madam Chair.
DDG, try to be in the place where we can have a network. I don't know, I cannot detect where can you be. Because even myself, when I'm not having a network, I cannot go anywhere. DJ?
No, good morning, Honorable Chairperson, honorable members of the committee, the Deputy Minister, President of SASCOC. The direct answer to the question about Swimming SA is that we have not engaged on any report from them. Several attempts were made to engage them, and they clearly indicated that they would rather present a verbal report. So we don't know what is the content of the report and what they will be presenting here today, despite those attempts to engage with them in this regard. And I think they will then maybe explain the rationale why they prefer the verbal report. And if they eventually decided to put pen on paper, then that was too little too late as far as our side is concerned, Chairperson. But we have not engaged with this report.
Thank you, DG. President.
Are you referring to me, Madam Chair?
There's only one president in this meeting. President of SASCOC.
My apologies then, ma'am. Yes, I want to second what the DG has mentioned. SASCOC has forwarded all its presentations, including the safeguarding policy. And we've also led to believe that a verbal presentation will be made in the interest of not to compromise the investigations. So I second the DG. We are a bit surprised by the current position, but we'd like to hear from Swimming South Africa, Madam Chair.
Thank you, President. DM.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Chair. I think the question that came from Honorable Dennis Joseph was a fair question, because the merit of the question is to check if Swimming South Africa has followed the protocols of preparing a report to come to this committee. And clearly, both the department and the SASCOC, if you hear their responses, have not interacted with Swimming South Africa on this report before it comes to this portfolio committee. The honorable members of this portfolio committee, then it's up to them to take a decision of how to move forward in handling this report. But when they do that, I think it's important that Swimming South Africa must be clearly explained to, that it is important that in respecting this portfolio committee, it is important that you actually give the report time so that the members are able to interact with this report. If they had decided that they want to submit a written report, they can't do that on the eve of the meeting at 10:10 in the evening. So the members of the portfolio committee really need to take that decision themselves on how they want to handle this report and disrespect from the Swimming South Africa. Thank you so much.
Thank you, DM. I've seen again the hand of Honorable Dennis. Can members be sharp on responding or thinking what do we do? Because now we're taking our own time. I've seen I'm not yet calling the Swimming South Africa. I've asked them that they must lower their hands. We are still engaging on their issues. Honorable Dennis, Honorable Rachel Adams. Honorable Dennis.
I'm sorry, Chairperson. I thank you for the opportunity. I want to note what the Deputy Minister said in the reason why I raised this question, because this committee, and I thank the Department and SASCOC's response as well, because this committee, we should not just, when someone gives a reason or indicate that the report came late, that we then apply our rule. We must apply our rule. But this question that I've raised have brought us to a point where we have to interrogate why a report was not submitted on time. And I think we've got some sense of reason. But Chairperson, I'm a third member of the committee, so I do not participate in recommendations or seconding a resolution or a recommendation or a proposal. But I want to say, I have some understanding given the nature of the agenda. The agenda of this morning is a very important one and a very sensitive one. Hence, I want to ask the committee that we must consider allowing swimming SAA, despite our rule that we so firmly and applied to the rule, that we allow this is a public meeting that we are having, so information will be out there as to what we are grappling with. So I would like Chairperson to ask my members in this committee to consider allowing Swimming South Africa to present to us, because initially I can pick up they wanted to present verbally and not in writing, given the nature of the sensitivity. But of course, we have a rule that they must supply and submit. They must apply their mind to our rules and submit reports. So that is my comment. I'm thankful for the explanation, but I feel that given the sensitivity around this agenda point, we must allow Swimming South Africa to present so that we get this over. It's very sensitive. If an uncertain, such a sensitive matter hangs in the air till the next meeting, we should distinguish between the other entities and the other people that we've sent back, and that we make a decision only on this topic, on our view that we have on submissions to meeting and presentations. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Dennis. Honorable Adams. Honorable Adams. Honorable Adams. Honorable Adams. Honorable Adams. No wonder what's going on today. Honorable Adams. Honorable Mhlongo. Honorable Mhlongo. Honorable Mhlongo.
Chairperson?
Yes, Honorable Mhlongo.
Chairperson, I don't support my colleague. I don't support my colleague. I think we are not going to set a good presidency. What we must do, as we have agreed, that if the report is late and we did not go through it, it's what we've agreed, and that's a culture of this committee. I don't support an honorable business for us just to give it to like that. Please note my objection to that.
Honorable members, I want honorable members to open their mouth and talk in order that I must round up. So there is now a motion on the table that Honorable Dennis is saying that we must waive our decisions of this committee, and Honorable Mhlongo is saying no. So if honorable members can talk, please, I'm pleading you, honorable members. We can't take an hour discussing one issue which we know what we've been doing in this committee. Please, honorable members, raise your hand, and I'm looking in the participants. Honorable Adams, surely she is having a problem. Honorable Mhlongo, Honorable Zondi, Honorable Maloman, please, my leaders, let's talk in the committee. I must not persuade you to talk. I want to take a resolution. I don't want to take a resolution of my individual or of not the majority view. I want the majority view, but you don't raise your hands. Please, honorable members. Honorable Zondi, Honorable Maloman, in that order.
Chair, good morning. I thought this report and this issue will be concluded long time ago. We have a standing resolution, Chair, that if you don't send us a report, a presentation prior to the meeting days, we don't entertain the presentation. But the reason that the decision of Swimming South Africa that their report is sensitive, it should not be concluded by them that the report is sensitive. It's us that should decide whether the report should not be presented publicly because it is sensitive. This reason should have been presented to us in the last meeting or in the previous meeting, that they can't send the presentation because it is sensitive, and it is the committee that should decide whether the presentation should be presented verbal, but not them deciding to come and present because they concluded that the report is sensitive. I stand by my colleagues who are saying, if we set a precedent that the report should be presented because it is sensitive, we have been dealing with many sensitive reports, and other entities will say we have sensitive report and we can't send a presentation. We are going to present verbal. We don't entertain verbal presentation, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, except now that it's not verbal, it is a written report which you got late last night. Honorable Maloman, thank you, Honorable Zondi.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I don't want to waste time. I think I'm supporting Honorable Mhlongo and Honorable Zondi that we've set a precedent in our committee that if a report or a presentation comes late, we don't engage it. Let's stick by our own rules so that tomorrow there can't be any entity that will come and say, but you've done that to Swimming South Africa. Why us? Are you returning us? So I'm also saying, because also even the issues that the department and even SASCOC, they are also not aware. How can we engage on the report that the department, also even SASCOC, is not aware of they didn't even follow the protocol. It shows that there is something which is wrong regarding the entity Swimming South Africa. I think maybe can we just conclude by saying we've set our own rules and then we conclude on this matter. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, honorable members. At last now, honorable members, I do agree with you, and I didn't want to take decision out of the contribution of honorable members. We've done this in several entities, even last week, about 2 presentation, even from in our own committee secretariat. We didn't entertain that. So thank you. And this is so strange that the reason that this report was not with us, and it's worse with the department and SASCOC, that they can't be given a report. So let me also be binded by the decision of this committee. Report came late, but now it's no longer a verbal report. Maybe we can advise them that they must go back, follow the protocols, and then we'll check that when the administrators of ours can reschedule this report, because it has a very sensitive issue of sexual harassment of children, which, this month, it's not only this month, we've been asking as women of South Africa that this question of gender violence, it must be 360 days, not just only November. We do keen to get what really happened. So I'm pleading that they must follow the protocols. And then as a committee now, we do have a report, and they must follow the protocols. Thank you, honorable members. Now, the leadership of Swimming South Africa, we are apologizing to you if you were not aware that this committee and all committees of Parliament, they need to read, they need to get the information in time. I'm suspecting this is not only this committee, but we want to have facts when you are interrogating your presentation. So by those words, please do as we are asking as this committee also is doing oversight. I thank you. Honorable members, we've done with this. Now we're going to the department that they must do an overview in order that the briefing of SASCOC must follow. Thank you, honorable members. DJ, we are releasing you, Mr. Sean, Mr. Allen. I'm suspecting you did hear what we are assisting you about. DJ.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Again, greetings to the honorable members of the Committee on Sport, Arts and Culture, to the Deputy Minister, Mafu, as well as to the President of SASCOC and his delegation, and to my colleagues In the meeting, Honorable Chairperson, I've got Ubaba Mtobi Chamzache, I've got DDG Sumana Khan, despite the challenges he has, DDG Mandesa, as well as the Chief of Staff in the Minister's Office, Mr. Lowe, as well as Sivuile in the DM's office, and then the Lisa Khan, the Chief Director, because the DDG could not be here with us, and that is DDG Kumalo. And the Chairperson, just for the record, may I request that at 11 be released because of the other agent matter that requires my agent attention and could not be shifted in any other way. Honorable Chairperson, we have the overview. Maybe to foreground this is to indicate that when the Team SA came back, and then the President as well as the Minister convened a meeting for the department to engage with SASCOC to reflect how best to deal with the issue of review. So this presentation focuses mainly on that process that then we would outline as a high-level overview. We will deal with the issue of naturally what is SASCOC mandate, particularly in reference to making sure that they prepare Team SA, because I think the members are aware of what is a full SASCOC mandate. Then the engagements with the SASCOC prior to the departure for the Team SA. And then, of course, there were funding issues that we just share with the committee. And then the key matters prior to Tokyo, and then the post-games engagements that have happened to date, and then the intended roadmap towards the Tokyo review, as well as then currently what is the state of transfers that is earmarked for SASCOC. So just to recap, Chairperson, in terms of Section 2, Subsection 1 of the National Sport and Recreation Act, and we know that that is how SASCOC is established in terms of the legal mandate. And among then the key areas of their responsibility is a bullet 3 that is of note for now, and that is the issue of the responsible for, amongst other things, the delivery of Team SA at the multi-coded international competitions or games, such as Olympics, Paralympics, Commonwealth Games. If we then move to the next slide, it doesn't seem to be moving. I will, however, proceed from my side. So the next slide, Chairperson, just indicates then the issue of the pre-Tokyo 2020 processes. Just to highlight here that prior to the Tokyo 2020, we had regular engagements regarding preparations and readiness of the team. My side leading the team, as well as the acting CEO, Mr. Ravikovina, leading the team from the side of SASCOC. In these meetings, we were getting then the updates about team readiness, including, among others, the issue of asking that we be provided with demographics of the team. The department then also had an agreement that was concluded with SASCOC in line with Section 3A of the Sport and Recreation Act. This particular section enjoins the Confederation that it must have an agreement, service level agreement with the department relating to functions assigned to it. So therefore, department then had to avail financial support to the value of 7.4 million rand towards preparation of the team. And then the next slide, Chairperson, talks to the funding conditions. We supported SASCOC in terms of the Tokyo 2020 South African Olympic and Paralympic team. This was a budget specifically earmarked for athletes and teams ranked top 10 in the world, and those with a proven track record of medaling or having what we called, as we were engaging with SASCOC, what we regard as medal hopefuls. So that was the intention, to focus on that so that we are able to send a team that we are hoping will bring us greater success in terms of the medals based on those medal hopefuls. So SASCOC then did present to us a list of athletes and teams in this regard, of which was 12 as Olympic potential medalists, as 16 Paralympian potential medalists. What we noted in our engagement is that prior to the Olympic and Paralympic, there were the following key issues: that the team being sent to the Olympics should be the most competitive with the potential of returning with medals, that the team numbers should have been kept at a minimum so that we do not have a large team. I think the president and the delegation will talk to that, because that is one of the issues that we had a difference of opinion around the size of the team based on the hope that we'll send the medal hopefuls. But SASCOC explained their reasons for a different approach. Then the team should be representative of demographics of the country. And I think, Honorable Chairperson, you will see that the demographics as provided just on percentages for Olympics alone, the majority, 56%, were mainly our white counterparts, and 44% was blacks in general combined. And then in Paralympics, it was 67%, mainly white, and then 33% blacks in general combined. So the issue of demographics remained an issue of great concern around the composition of the team. But also we then said the general selection and eligibility criteria adopted by SASCOC at the General Assembly on the 9th of June 2018 was reported to have enabled SASCOC then to tighten specific policies to make the selection more stringent than the International Olympic Committee and the International Federation qualifications criteria. This was then aimed at helping South Africa have a very powerful competitive team. However, later in 2019, there was an indication that this criteria has been changed and relaxed, and this resulted then in a larger size of the team. Finally, Chairperson, is just to say that SASCOC, as I have indicated in terms of the mandate, they prepared the team, they delivered the team to the Olympics, and that the federations are responsible for the development, selection, and preparation of athletes. And it was agreed that then Department and Cesco, we will engage once they have returned from the Olympics and the Paralympics. This indeed did take place. Minister and the president of SASCOC met, and then they directed on the way forward that we must follow in order to review performance of the Team SA. In this meeting, then a technical team has been established between ourselves and the SASCOC. This working group has formulated then the terms of reference, which refers to the independent reviewer to be identified and appointed by SASCOC, so that the review of the performance of the team is quite objective and is able to assist us on how to improve going forward. This will then ensure confidentiality, anonymity, but also reduce bias and intimidating factors when Tokyo Olympic and Paralympic participants give feedback. SASCOC indicated this is their normal process that they would follow to make sure that all stakeholders who have a voice and a view on how team performed will do. So it's a two-stage process that allows and enables SASCOC to follow their process and then thereafter engage with the department, and which then the report will be presented, and this will then be to analyze the team performance, evaluate the degree of success, as well as to evaluate the debrief from athletes, coaches, managers, federations, special groups as per the classification and identification that SASCOC leadership would have identified. So this will also then help to indicate what were the contributing factors for performance which we have all agreed that was just far below par, and something dramatic needs to be done to change this. So also then to reduce what recommendations for the development of strategy towards 2028, to compile a report that will be presented then to the department. So that is what the independent review panel will do. When it comes to the budgets, just at a high level, Chairperson, let's just indicate that SASCOC is still to submit then the compliance documents such as audited financial statements for 2020-21 financial year. SASCOC then to also submit the final report April to September 2021 reports. And we are having the budget allocated in terms of the medium-term expenditure framework as follows: 2021, 2022, 11.7, 2022, 23 at 12 million, and then 2023, 24 at 12 million again. Honorable Chairperson, I ask to rest my case in presenting and taking you on the overview of how we've been engaging with SASCOC and with regard to preparing for the review of the team's performance at the Tokyo Olympics. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, DG. Honorable members, let me give the opportunity to the President of SASCOC when will be the deliberations will be with the two presentation. I'm suspecting that is when then the department, our DM, will be part of the deliberation of answering, assisting when honorable members are asking questions. Good morning, President of SASCOC. We are welcoming you in this meeting of today. And if you can introduce your delegation, it can be in order. We are welcoming you.
Thank you, Chairperson, and good morning to the Deputy Minister, and then also to the members of the Portfolio Committee. The members of the SASCOC board who cannot make it to this meeting through various reasons, mainly business and work commitments, are Londile Semilani, Mapule Mokoena, Ayanda Ngobu, Dr. Debbie Alexander, Anand Singh, who's not around, Condisa Ngwenya, Muke Grobler, Ilam Groenewald, who's on leave. And with us we have Khotso Mokoena, Kim Popel, myself, Patience Chikombana, as well as Leon Fleischer. And waiting for Mr. Govender. He was at the airport and he's going to link up as soon as he can. So that's our delegation, Chairperson. Now let me ask, we have sent in a presentation, so I'll ask Ms. Patience Chikombana, our Chief Operation Officer, to go through that presentation with you, please.
Good morning, Chairperson. Thank you, President, for the opportunity. Good morning to the Honorable Deputy Minister, members of the Portfolio Committee. Can I request Zola to put the presentation on? As I continue to also greet our DG and our colleagues from the department. Next slide, please. As indicated actually from the presentation of the DG, is that it's more of a presentation in terms of both the Olympic and Paralympic Games report, but as said that we're going to have a bigger session in terms of putting a full or comprehensive report in terms of the games, but also a way forward in looking at the upcoming Olympic and Paralympic Games. Honorable Chair, in terms of Olympic team, in terms of team general management, The chef de mission was myself. And then I had the deputy chef, Mr. Leon Fleiser, who's currently our acting high performance general manager. And then we had our CMO, Dr. Patogo Shezoni, but she also was also responsible as a COVID liaison officer as per the request or the process from Tokyo 2020. We had the chief physio, Mr. Dan Zeke, and then we had our press attaché being Miss Brown Rhodes. Next slide. And then in terms of Paralympic, we had Leon Fleiser as the chef de mission. We had Vicky Hlashwa as deputy chef de mission. Our chief medical officer there was Dr. Carolette Klute. Also, Dr. Carolette Klute, when we came back as Paralympic team, then she had to take over issues of the COVID liaison. And then we had Dr. Siabonga Kunene as a chief physiotherapist. And then Browning remained as a press attaché for the Paralympic team. Opening ceremony and closing ceremony, you all saw it. It was on the 23rd of July, 2021. In terms of our flag bearers, we had the captain, the hockey women's vice captain as one of the flag bearers, together with Chadwick Close, who were the ones that were carrying our flag at the opening ceremony. And then in the closing ceremony, which was on the 8th of August, we had Anos Jogotwana, one of our track and field athlete, 3-time Olympian, who was then the flag bearer for the closing ceremony. In terms of Paralympic Games opening and closing ceremony, we had Charles Dutoy, our multiple gold medalists, and Khotatso Mjane, who were the flag bearers. And then in terms of the closing ceremony on the 5th of September, we had Luzanne Kuze, who brought us back a silver and bronze in the Tokyo 2020 Paralympic Games. In terms of the overview, I'm just going to talk you through the selection policies, meetings that we had with national federations, meetings that we had with all the code managers that were appointed by the participating national federations, and also in terms of our delegation registration meeting that we had with Tokyo 2020. In terms of selection policies, I think the DG has basically spoken about this briefly in his presentation. SASCOC in November 2019, they had a meeting where they changed the agreed selection criteria that was approved before, and they agreed that it must be changed, that whoever that qualifies to go to the Olympic Games, it must be based on the IOC, on the IPC, and also the International Federation selection criteria for 2022, both Olympic and Paralympic Games. We also ensured in terms of our preparation that we have one-on-one meetings with all our national federations, and this process started in November 2018, and it ended this year in March 2021. Obviously, in these meetings, that's where we discuss issues such as policy documents, preparation plans for the various teams from those federations, the long lists that they need to give us in terms of potential athletes that they think they're going to qualify as per the selection policy. Also them looking at their own selection policies, because selection policies are not the same in terms of various national federations. Also, we had to discuss issues around their training camps as they prepare towards to go to the Olympic Games. And obviously, lastly, was also an issue around their competition clothing, because it's important that our athletes must have a competition wear that suits them and makes them to be comfortable whenever they go and participate. NFA also asked to provide us with areas where they'll think they'll have their training camps or pre-games before before going to Olympic or Paralympic Games. We also then have code managers meeting, and the one that we had for Olympic Games was 18 June 2021. In that meeting, obviously, after the federations have appointed their code managers, was for us to give them an update on issues of how far are we with preparation, issues of logistics, because the code managers' responsibility, they are part of team management. So we all have to make sure that our athletes and their officials are all sorted in terms of all things that are needed. So in this meeting also we had an opportunity that the Chief Medical Officer had to present and highlight the key thing around issues of COVID and some of the medical support that is going to be provided to them, and also issues of physiotherapists in terms of what they'll expect when they get to the games. Pre-holding camps, it has been a norm for us as an organization to host such things, such camps before we depart for the games. But, due to COVID, we did not hold any holding camp for the whole team that had qualified to go to the games. But we did, however, allow some of our federations that wanted to do the training, the pre-games, to do that. So that was going to be a separate one, and they had to go into their own bubble in terms of having that. And in that instance, we had both rowing and also rugby sevens having those pre-games training in Japan. Delegation registration meeting in the main, Madam Chairperson and the honorable members, it's more where we go and confirm in terms of how many of our athletes are we going to be confirming to participate at the games. So we had our DRM, it's called DRM. We had our DRM on the 11th of July in Tokyo. And also the one for Paralympic was held on the 17th of August. And attendees into this DRMs, it was the chef de mission, deputy chef de mission, and the general team management, together with the chief medical officer. In these meetings, all relevant operational and logistical issues, that's where these aspects are discussed. And also they are able to finally conclude on our allotment for the team in terms of accommodation and what kind of cars are we going to be allocated and all that as a team. Next slide. In terms of the team SA structure around who are the people that are responsible of making sure that the team's welfare and well-being is taken care of, it's a chef de mission who becomes the head of delegation, and then obviously supported by the chief medical officer. And then you have your press attaché, and then you have a general team management, others that are supporting us in terms of making sure that logistics and athlete services are taken care of. And then you have court managers who their main responsibility is making sure that the athletes together with the coach in terms of the technical issues all are sorted. This is the team for Olympic Games. We had 180 total of athletes that went to the games. Males were 118, and then female we had 62. And then in terms of demographics, we had 45 of black athletes, African black athletes. We had 3 which were Indian, and then we had 1 white, and we had 31 which were colored. The DJ has already indicated the whole issue about demographics in terms of the team. Paralympic Games. In terms of the Paralympic demographics, the total number for the team size was 36 athletes. We had 22 male, we had 14 females. And in terms of the demographics, African blacks was 8, Indian we had 1, and then white was 24, and colored were 3. On issues of logistics that we had to manage as team management, it was issues around vaccinations, which I'm going to talk through later, flights, breakaways, activity plans, issues of safeguarding, water ADEL costs, SA team outfitting, our travel to Tokyo, and the departure from the game village and ground transport when we're in Tokyo. In terms of vaccination, majority of our team members were vaccinated, even though some of the athletes and officials opted not to take the vaccines. But the reason was because in terms of the IOC and IPC, the issue of taking vaccines was not mandatory for us to be able to go to the Olympic Games. In terms of numbers for the Olympic, for Team South Africa, we had around 457 that were vaccinated. It was compulsory for Team SA to do PCR test based on the regulations that we must do a 72 hours test, and also the 48 hours before their travel to Tokyo, and they needed to produce this negative test result at the airport, and both departure and arrivals is what we had to do in terms of all these PCR PCR test. Departures, as per the norm, if there's a time difference, like the time difference that we had with Tokyo, the team should have been afforded an opportunity to arrive at least 14 days before so that they can be able to adjust. But unfortunately, due to issues of COVID, in the playbook that was developed by the IOC, the only thing that they agreed was that we could only arrive 7 days before the competition. So our departures to go to Tokyo, it was staggered based on the competition schedule of each and every athlete that was going to the event. So our athletes only traveled in groups based on when they're supposed to arrive, and also when it's finished, they're given that 48 hours to be able to go back home. And most of the team members used two airlines, which was Qatar Airways and Ethiopian Airlines. And I must say to this one that unfortunately, due to some of our borders that were closed, these were the only airlines that were operating at the time. Breakaways, it's a norm that we have some of our athletes that are not necessarily here in South Africa. Some of them are based in Europe, some of them are based in America and either Australia. So we usually have a breakaway where we'll ask our national federations to take care of this. So what we do, we then afford all those athletes that are not based in the country an amount of the ticket that we'll be paying for athletes to go to Tokyo. So each athlete who's a breakaway then was given 14,000 for them to be able to make arrangements for their flight, for them to be able to go to the games. Also, we are required, as per the playbook, that each and every individual that was going to go to Tokyo to have an activity plan. And that activity plan, they needed it 2 weeks before. And the reason it was because Japan government wanted to really manage the whole issue of COVID. And they really needed to make sure that Tokyo Olympic Games or Paralympic Games doesn't become one of the widespreader of the pandemic. Safeguarding, with all issues that are mushrooming around issues of safeguarding, it became a serious concern for the leadership of SASCOC, and a decision was then taken that there's no member of Team South Africa that is going to go to Olympic and Paralympic Games without doing the safeguarding course. So what was agreed was that each and every athlete and officials, they had to do a compulsory online safeguarding awareness course. And then in terms of team managers, that is your code managers and coaches, then they had to do a designated safeguarding office training program. So all of our team members had to do that course. It was a 2 days one, which was done on the 26th to 27th of June, 2021. And this mainly, it was for us to make sure that we're not taking officials that really have got criminal records and all that. And thus it was important that the company that was helping us had to do the vetting and check that all officials that we have are officials that do not have any criminal charges against them. And then also it was a requirement in terms of anti-doping that each and every team member to both Olympic and Paralympic Games, they do a WADA ADEL course. In the main on this one, it was more about awareness and educating us in terms of what are the requirements around issues of anti-doping. And all of us had to go through and have an understanding of anti-doping before we depart and arrive in Tokyo. As you are aware, Chairperson and honorable members, Team South Africa was sponsored by Mr. Price Sport in terms of the clothing. And we must confirm that most of the athletes loved the clothing that was received from Mr. Price. And obviously the opening ceremony, the design that we're wearing, it was done by 3 young Durban designers, which was an African-inspired outfit. And then we also had Oakley providing athletes with sunglasses, and also had footwear for the opening ceremony, which was provided by Felt School. Travel to Tokyo, I think I've spoken to this one that it was staggered, and obviously the breakaway they had to do their traveling on their own. And I think I've spoken to that. We can go to the next one. Next slide, please. Departures from the game village, as I said earlier, as a rule, athletes and officials had to leave 48 hours after the completion of the events. And due to lack of flights, some athletes had to stay longer than intended. As I indicated earlier, that the problem was that we had very limited flights from that side coming back home, even going to Tokyo at that time. Ground transport, we had dedicated sports-specific buses that were scheduled between the venues and the village. The buses were efficient and members could arrive timelessly for their training and the competition. We also had reliable buses between the airport and Games Village on arrival and departures of our athletes. And then also the National Olympic Committee, which is ourselves, or National Paralympic Committee, were also given dedicated cars that were available for us to be able to make sure that when we need to travel around the competition venues, we've got that access. And then we also had one vehicle given to our cycling team because it was important, for example, when they're doing their road cycling, that they have a car. In terms of results, in terms of Olympic Games, we brought back 3 medals. It was 2 silvers medals and 1 gold. And both the medals, 2 was from Tatiana and 1 was from, how can I forget her name? I'll just remember the second, the one from surfing.
Bianca.
Bianca, yes, Bianca. And then in Paralympic Games, we had 2 bronze, 1 silver, and we brought back 4 gold medals and 1 world record. We also had a world record from Olympic Games from Tatiana as well. And then in terms of how many have made it into the finals for Olympic Games, we had 7 athletes that made it to the finals. And in terms of our medal tally as a country, we're position number 52 as Team South Africa. And then in terms of Paralympic Games, we had 14 of our athletes that made it to the finals. And also in terms of the Team SA in the country medal tally, we're in position 34. This is just to show in terms of the sport that we had in swimming. We had Tatiana, who got gold in 200 meters breaststroke, and she also had a world record on that one. We also again had Tatiana giving us a silver in 100 meters breaststroke, and then we had silver from surfing from Bianca Beitenbach. Paralympic Games, in terms of the sport that brought us medals, mainly were from athletics and cycling. So in athletics, we had our golden boy, Umahlangu, who got a gold in long jump, and it was also a world record, and also got gold in 200 meters. We had Andrew Veyers, who also got gold in athletics in 400 meters. And then we had in cycling, we also had gold from, we call him Peter, but I say his name is Nicolas Dupris in the time trial event, where he also got us a gold. And then in terms of silver, we had Luzanne Kutsie on 1,500 meters, who got a silver. And then we also had Erasmus Badenhorst, who got a silver in 1,500 as well. And then in terms of bronze, we had a bronze again from Luzanne Kutsie on marathon with her guide, and then we also had a bronze from Sarah James on 400 meters. Right. In terms of closing remarks, Madam Chairperson and honorable members, I think the DG has alluded to the team that has been put together after the Honorable Minister had a meeting with our Honorable President, and we are working hard on that report. And then once it has been done, I think we'll be able then to provide an update in terms of how we're progressing on that report. I think that's the last slide, Honorable Chair and President. I don't know if there's anything else that you need to add, but I must also check if Leon, is there anything from your side that you might have left out? But I'm going to submit on that note, Honorable Chairperson.
Patients have been asking you that you must show your face, and then seemingly you didn't hear me.
No, I did not, Mama. My apologies. My sincere apologies, Mama. Yes.
Okay, you can switch off now your camera, because also the network is bad, but would love that anyone who's speaking just show her or his face, and then to know who is that person. Honorable the President, do you want to say something before I'm giving to the honorable members? Is any addition from your team, from your good self?
No, ma'am. We will take questions.
Okay. Honorable members, now is the time that we must engage. We must engage with the presentations, starting with including the first one, a briefing overview from the department. I'm seeing Honorable Zondi, Honorable Malomane, in that order. Thank you, Honorable Mhlongo. Thank you, Honorable members. So far, I'm still having this Honorable Van Dijk. Let me write it down. Thank you, Honorable members. Honorable Zondi.
Thanks, Honorable Chair. And honorable members, I wish to welcome the presentation by SASCOC. I have few questions, Chair. Maybe comments will come later, but for now I have just a few questions. The first one is that, Chair, SASCOC, in your understanding, what is the role of the department in your existence? In your understanding, what is their role? The second one, Chair, is that was not odd that Team South Africa, representing the country, was not wearing the colors of the country in the opening ceremony. Was it not odd to you as the leadership of SASCOC? The third one, Chair, how do you compare Team South Africa's performance with the other African counterparts, not the third world countries? The last one, Chair, is transformation part of your agenda in the development and selection of the teams towards any competition? I'm talking about, Chair, I just want to emphasize development and selection. If the answer is yes, where are you in terms of your long-term plan?
Thank you, Honorable Member Zondi. Honorable Malomane.
Thank you, Chair. Let me also join in welcoming the overview presentation from the department and the presentation from SASCOC. Chair, let me firstly also speak on the issue that Honorable Zondi spoke about, the issue of comparison between the teams of that are African nations. If you can check on the issue of Kenya, they've sent 40 athletes, but they came out with 10 medals. Jamaica, it was 46 athletes. They've came out with 9. South Africa, 179 athletes, but we came out with 3 medals. And also, I just want to find out what could be the reason for the poor performance in the Olympics. And the other question was sending this large team going to assist in getting medals. And now we've sent a large team, but we came out with 3 medals. I just want to check on the issue because they're speaking about the issue of the relaxation of their criteria. The department has advised them not to send this large team to the Olympics, but because of their outcome of their AGM,
just a moment, Honorable Maloman. I'm suspecting if it's not TV, there are people who are talking behind you. Try to switch off any other thing in order that we must not hear that echo. Thank you, Honorable Member. Go on.
My apology, Chair, for that. I just want to check on their relaxation of their criteria vis-a-vis the outcome that we came with. On my view, because there are certain issues where they've said, if you've got money, you can pay your ticket, they will come back. What about those who didn't have money, but they were willing to go and represent South Africa on the issue of affordability? This thing, does it become a challenge when it comes to those who are previously disadvantaged from their backgrounds? When it comes to the issue of saying, if you've got money, you can travel to Jamaica and represent, or to travel to the Olympics or travel wherever and represent Team South Africa. I just want to find out on that issue. The other issue that I want to speak about is also the issue of the uniform. I'm also concerned about the issue of the uniform. Why didn't they use the team? They know that we've got colors that we're using on sports when we're representing South Africa. Why didn't they use those colors? They opted to use, they are saying it's an African, I don't know whether it's African print or what, they've mentioned that one. So I just want to know, why didn't they use that one? The other thing I just want to ask, the relationship between SASCOC and the department. How is the relationship? I'm expecting that SASCOC can respond on this issue, and the department might also respond in that issue. And the issue of the SASCOC, I just want to find out, because there are issues on slide 10 about the issue to still, you need to still submit the compliance document, and you never submitted so far the audited financial statements and other documents that you're supposed to submit. And I also just want to find out, is your financial year, I don't know whether you call it a financial year or what, is it the same as the financial year of the department? And how does it affect on the issue of funding if it is not on the same par with the department or financial year? I know under the department is from April to March. I just want to find out your financial year, because if there are things that have not submitted, the compliance that still need to be submitted, doesn't make it difficult for the department when it's supposed to do e-funding or when it's supposed to do issues of the Auditor General? Does it affect the department now? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Malomane. Honorable Mshongo. Mute, Honorable. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Technology nearly failed me. I want to welcome the presentation and noting the comments of my colleague. Chair, I wanted to not to compare with the issue of clothes. I think clothes were better off compared to 2016. They were better off compared to 2016. But I'm not there. I wanted to find out, and now I want to concur with my colleagues. What is the reason for us to have a large team? Is it for exposure? Is it for us to win medal? Or is it for holiday? One of the things that I wanted to find out, why we have funds which is earmarked for the game of Tokyo but paid via trust fund or trust sport trust. Why that fund is not directly paid to SASCOC? What is the duty, or why are they doubting SASCOC ability as a bona fide, why is that money going to Sport Trust? Will Sport Trust use fund in the future as well? Another issue that I wanted to find out is regarding Zulman recommendation, the Zulman report. Board members do not earn allowance, or are they now earning allowance as per the recommendation of Zulman? Because what I know is that only for when they have 4 board meetings. What is the current status of paying board members allowance? How much are they getting? When are we going to have a full-time CEO? Can we have an ETA? When are they going to advertise? What is the plan? And do we have funding for that? Considering issues yalo Tata Lobega's visa, a media guy, Ukondisa, he's a member. I've asked this, and maybe you'll direct me before he's on the platform. I don't think it's advisable for me to ask this. Can I ask him just to recuse himself for now if he's on the platform? Ukondisa, because procedurally, I cannot ask a question while the member is on the platform.
He's not on the platform.
Oh, he's not. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Chair, I've been asking this guy. He started misleading us. He was a journalist. Later, he's a member of the board. It shows good SASCOC are mafias, or they lead in mafia style. He was later elected to the board. I wanted to find out regarding while he was just a businessman, because there's plus minus 600,000 which was paid to him. Now he's a board member, he's earning monthly allowances. When will SASCOC decide or clean that mess which happened, which there was a contrary to the legal advice which you've received regarding Nkondisa out of court settlement? The funds from which he was given, which must be investigated. I think I need a total report on that. How far are we while he was a member, because he was not a member of the board, but just a staff member, and he was having business with SASCOC? What is the status quo of that? I wanted to find out regarding source that you've used and you've paid HISAC, Olympic, IPC. What was that intended for towards athlete, or that money was intended for something else? Thank you, Chair, for now.
Thank you, Honorable Mhlongo. Honorable Van Wyk.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you also for the presentation. My first question to SASCOC is, can you confirm whether a second doctor who attended the Games had Namibian accreditation but stayed with the SAT? If so, who paid for his expenses and did he fly business class? Then with regards to the safeguarding, I'm very disappointed that Swimming South Africa wasn't prepared, and the briefing was to be by SASCOC as well as Swimming South Africa. So my first question is, I want to confirm, does SASCOC screen national coaches for history of sexual crimes prior to them accompanying athletes to Olympic Games as well as other international competitions? Does SASCOC have a sex offender register for coaches? Will SASCOC make available the police clearance certificates to the committee for each of the coaches and administrators or the staff that were to go to the Olympic Games? I also want, on this note, just want to know how Mr. Graham Neal's health is now. I heard that he was unable to attend the Tokyo Games because of high blood pressure. And in general, I want to know, has he been screened, not only for possible inclusion to attend the Olympics, but in general as head coach? And if can that outcome be made available? Then on the SASCOC's safeguarding policy and protocols, I want to know how far I've come with that with regards to the federations. I believe that SASCOC, the safeguarding committee, only had one meeting in the past year. Why is that? And I also want to know how conductive can it be, and how serious is SASCOC really about safeguarding athletes if this is the case? maybe SASCOC can also respond to the committee on how this body assists victims of sexual abuse in sport. Some of them feature in the public domain because the body is very quiet on this. And then to the department, I want to know whether the department might also be launching its own investigation into allegations of sexual abuse in federations. We've got Swimming South Africa, Gymnastics South Africa, as well as netball. And I think if we're really serious about abuse in sport, then we should start to act and show that we are. Thank you.
Thank you. There was a noisy something behind you because I know that you always have a problem of network. I didn't want to stop you. Honorable Dennis.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you for the presentations to SASCOC and the department. Chairperson, pre-Olympics preparation, the structured participation at the Olympics by all athletes under COVID-19 was obviously extremely difficult. And I think one must have an understanding for that they've, when they're under these conditions that the whole world had to participate in, and we managed to get through that processes and participate. Chairperson, I think the results that we need further detail on and discussion on at a later stage points to the foundational phase of sports in our country, in our communities. And I want to ask the question, when is that memorandum of understanding with the Department of Education going to be signed and implemented, which is part of that foundational phase that I referred to? And then, Chairperson, the budget provided by government, and particularly the private sector, because I heard the Minister speaking about incentives, tax incentives for companies who want to sponsor the sport. So I think that is an issue that we need to interrogate and follow up what the Minister is saying. And then the department's own program of mass participation, which brings me to also to the foundational phase of sports. And then lastly, Chairperson, the sports entities, which if I listen to the previous members, the last member, the sports entities, governance structures and board structures, leadership structures at national level, they are struggling to lead by example. They're struggling to lead, for example, to the provinces and the local sports bodies. So hence, I'm not surprised that we are struggling to make our mark at the international level, where we once were much better off previous 2-3 Olympics back. So we're slipping. And my question just is that when are we going to unpack that parts that was presented to us, including transformation in sports, where every single person must have the same opportunity at the foundational phase? When are we going to have that discussion, Chairperson? Thank you very much, Chairperson, for the opportunity.
Thank you, Honorable Dennis. Honorable Adams.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Can you hear me?
Yes, Honorable Member.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you to the department and SASCO for the presentation. Chairperson, my first question will be on SASCOC's opening ceremony and the closing ceremony. My worry, Chairperson, is that SASCOC didn't mention what happened at the games, which has South Africans on speaking. The South Africa relay strategy between the team in the relay. Or do SASCOC think that what had expired there was not important? Let me take them back on what had happened. The Tokyo 2020 South Africa relay tragedy, the team that consists was Shadrick, Akani, Clarence, and Sean and Gift. There was a relay between them. Clarence ran into the second leg person, which was Sean, and he was not able to pass the baton over to him. From the incoming athlete and the outgoing athlete, due to that, they couldn't finish. And that was the two that really was traumatized. The third one, Shedrick van Wyk, the runner, and Akani, the fourth runner. For me, is it all over the TV and media platforms? It was well outspoken on what had happened, but never in the report SASCOC mentioned that. I wanted SASCOC to explain to the committee why is it not captured in that report. I thank you, Chairperson. Sorry, Chairperson. Sorry, Chairperson.
Yes.
Can I quickly come in, Chairperson?
Yes, yes, Honourable Member.
And I also note that in one of they mentioned no sponsors. My question is, how long before you planning did you try to seek for sponsors, Chairperson? I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Adams. May I also take an opportunity to raise some few questions. Let me thank the department to present their side of understanding, and can also thank the president of SASCOC to come with the delegation to come and brief us. I've noticed that there are only 4 sporting codes which had a black athlete representation at Olympics. It was athletics, soccer, rugby, and hockey out of 19 different sports codes. Why is it still a challenge for African athletes to be part of other sporting codes? Are federations making an effort to make sport more inclusive for all demographics? Do they assist you, SASCOC, and do you have any plan of looking at this? How was the plan for these Olympics different from the previous Olympics? What were the main challenges? What are the lessons going forward in order to be more successful in 2024? I'm raising these things because as you are seeing the relaxation of criteria which you took in your AGM, and the biggest delegation, and ended up not achieving, and hoping that as each department was presenting, saying that they've noticed the limitations, and those limitations, surely we are still here wanting that post-games engagement, you're supposed to, by this time, have a plan, your plan with this, you have said, even the department, you are going to have a team of looking at that. We appreciate, but wish that the development of sport and this problem of transformation, when you look at, I'm not saying that you must walk up having the 50-50. It can depend on the development of the sporting codes or of the federation that are assisted, but I'm suspecting you also have a role to play as SASCOC to monitor this. But what I must say is that also with you, you know that last time when you were supposed to have the kit for athletics, they were just not tracksuit were in a good looking standard. And even then it was an issue. But now, as a former netball player, even during apartheid in Bantustan's time, when it's an opening of games, each and every state, they always show their colors of their country. It was only our country that didn't have that. Some of us, we did congratulate that at least the women that were given the task that they must have a chance of having to do the kit for our athletes as an empowerment. But I'm not sure. It was a very relaxing kit that maybe after the day of the opening, they can be relaxed. But now on an open day, seeing our South Africans not showing our flag, I've had patients that also saying that they were comfortable as SASCOC to see that. Yes, it was nice, Prince, but did you forget that you were presenting the country called South Africa? Some of us who used to be players, we don't feel that you did think correctly. Even other sport codes will be seeing them whenever they are going. Their colors are all there. You will see them wearing the colors of their country. I don't think that as individual, like other members that they were saying they were not happy, it needs to be corrected in order that we must not have again this noise 2024 thinking that all is well. I don't think all was well, in order that we must not repeat always the other time. It was just some queries even in the media, and the apology from former president of SASCOC again, but now again we're having that problem. I would love to check with the lottery. Is the lottery assisting you? If not, what are the reasons that lottery can't find you SASCOC, let alone the compliance issue with us, and which is affecting the department? And we want to check when we are doing oversight to the department, this thing of compliance, we don't take it very lightly. But so far, thank you for the presentation. Now is the time for answering questions. I will give at the end, after the president of SASCOC, after the department, that our DM must also be part of this session. I thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. And I want to thank the committee members for asking these questions. This is a public platform. and I will try and answer them to the best of my ability. The first question, there are 36 questions. The first question is, how do we view the role of the department? This is, of course, set out in the Sports and Recreation Act, as well as in the National Sports and Recreation Plan. We view government as the facilitator and the sports federations and SASCOC as the implementers of programs. But this is defined by the NSRP and the Sports and Recreation Act, as well as our own constitution. The colors of the country came up more than once. And that was the second question. In Rio, the athletes went in their tracksuits, and that didn't go down well. So SASCOC took a step back, and a sponsor was identified, Mr. Price Sport, and they produced the kit, not only the tracksuits, but also the battle gear, and in some cases where the battle gear was specialist battle gear, we then sourced those clothing manufacturers from the federations. It is not uncommon for countries to display their cultural diversity and background at the opening and closing ceremonies. And what we had done with Mr. Price Sport was worked with our Athletes Commission, as well as designers from eThekwini. And we presented this kit as the walk-on gear, as well as the battle gear at the launch of the kit. In terms of the portfolio committee members' suggestion that we take another step back and look at the colors and the linkage to South Africa, our flag in particular, and the South African symbols, that's something that we can also look at in future. But our athletes were very happy, but what the portfolio committee is saying that there are bigger things that we need to take into account when we make these decisions and present the national team. And that is noted and respected. The comparison with other African countries, this is something that we are looking into. Yes, some African countries only specialize in athletics, such as Kenya, and in particular long distance. South Africa is more diverse in terms of the number of sports that it plays. Rugby is a case in point, where we are world champions. So that sort of comparison for us is a longer term approach, and again, that suggestion is noted and something that SASCOC can work towards. Question 4 related to the transformation agenda, selection and development, and the long-term plan. And this question came up more than once as well, Chair. We work with the Department of Sport and with the EPG in determining the contracts that are signed by the national federations every year. And we try and work towards that. Now, the reality is that a lot of the national federations have not received a 50-50%, the 50% target as yet. And that is the sort of relationship and discussions we must have between the department and those federations. What are the challenges that they are facing? Is it the school system? Is it the club community system? Is it the university system? Or is it keeping athletes, especially women, in the system after a specific period of time? And that is something we can look at as well. But in terms of transformation, SASCOC's goal is to work with government, and government took over that responsibility in terms of transformation. I think it was 6 or 7 years ago. And as I said, we work with government to try and implement those targets. But SASCOC itself doesn't have a program of implementing transformation targets. That is the contracts that are signed between the department and the federations, and their particular funding strategy. The reasons for the poor performance, and that has come up more than once in the questions as well. Chair, this is why we're having this working group. We have to take a serious look at what were the reasons. Now, it would be neglectful of me not to mention that funding for Rio and London was 100 million rand, if not more. And now we are faced with 5 million rand, in this case 7 million rand, and 6 million from the lottery. That is something we need to work together towards to change, so that it is the build up to the Olympics that is important to us. Not only the presentation of the team, but how are we going to support those athletes in the years before these mega events, so that our athletes can feel more comfortable and be supported better to train and to attend events. Now, one of the members of the Portfolio Committee did mention COVID. One must not overemphasize this fact. One must overemphasize this fact, because a lot of our athletes were prevented from training during complete lockdown, and a lot of the athletes were not allowed to go overseas to qualify for events, and in particular our Paralympic athletes as well. And in some cases, even canoeing at some stage couldn't make it because of the COVID elements, as well as funding. So we have a working group looking at why we did not perform as we expected. And a case in point can be our rowing team. They were in the top 10, and yet they did not medal at all. So we're looking at those components. If you're in the top 10, are you going to get a medal? Then we take a case of Bianca Buitendag, who was ranked 17th in the world, but brought us a silver medal. And then if you look at the men's hockey team, even though they didn't medal, they finished up in the world's top 10 as a result of the Olympics. And 3 of their hockey players have now been taken up into a professional league in Europe. And those are the sort of stories we also need to spread about the usefulness, and in some cases the success, of athletes going to experience playing against the other world-class athletes, and experience that they don't get at other opportunities. Yes, it was a large team because of the policy that was taken by the membership, and again, as part of our introspection, that's something we will be looking at. But I also want the committee to note that this was also one of our youngest team that we took with. And it's not only how they perform at this Olympics, it's also a preparatory or stepping stone process for Paris 2024 and then Los Angeles 2028. Some of those athletes performed better after the Olympics, such as the swimmers, and were able to medal at their world events in Europe after the Olympics. So there is some benefit taking athletes and teams who are not ranked in the top 10. And again, I'm going to mention this, part of this working group with the department is to do some of that sort of questions and introspection. None of the athletes were prevented from traveling to the Olympics. All of them were covered financially through the funding provided by the government and through SASCOC, and as well as the National Lottery. Uniform. The relationship between the department and SASCOC is growing, and we are doing well, and we respect the department, the DG and his leadership that we have in the department, and the relationship between myself and the minister and the deputy minister at the political level. And we are constantly working on improving sport and the services for sport in the country through these relationships. The compliance documents, we presented our audited financial statements on the 20th of November to the members, and this was accepted. SASCOC has got a tax clearance certificate, and the opinion of the auditor was sound and solid. SASCOC is getting better financially, and we will be improving, because this was the previous financial year. We were still busy producing our financial audit, our annual report, And that should be completed, I think, within a week or two. Now, one of the portfolio committee members asked why, or what is our synergy with the department. Yes, we work with the department's annual or financial year, but what we've realized in SASCOC is that we've got to produce these documents earlier. Our current constitution says that we must produce it within 9 months. Within 6 months, we think we can produce that earlier if we change our financial structure, as well as bring in more competent or competent financial staff in the future, which is one of the goals of SASCOC in terms of our restructuring process. The sports trust funding, I think that's a question to the department. But as far as SASCOC is concerned, we are completely compliant with SARS, with the department. As I said, it was a matter of now sending those audited financial statements to the department with the report. With the Zulman report, the Zulman mentioned that the president of SASCOC, with his work commitments, needed to be a full-time person, and that the board allocation of the board allowances be reviewed. That process is happening, and we will be working with the department to finalize that report. So those are one of the outstanding matters. And the report will be sent after finalization. We will note that the minister's speech even covered that, to say this has to be wrapped up as a matter of urgency, and we intend to do that. The full-time CEO, the SASCOC board has a meeting this afternoon. We've gone through a process of advertisement, as well as a process of interviews. And the two names will be mentioned or to submit it to the SASCOC board this afternoon for the board's final decision. When it comes to one of the board members receiving a payment, SASCOC can produce the full report on that matter, so that it can be shown that the board worked with complete openness and transparency to achieve the ultimate goal of settlement in the interest of the organization. And that report can be produced and sent to you, Honorable MP. The doctor with Namibian citizenship, I think I'm going to ask if this was with the Olympics or Paralympics, and I'll ask the chef de missions to note, because this has come as a surprise to me, and we can follow up with that. So if I can ask the chef de mission or both chef de missions to check whether that is correct.
Yes. Not now, not now, not
okay,
now.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you.
If you can just follow on with that, please. And then I'm going to ask Ms. Popel, who is the board member responsible for the safeguarding processes within SASCOC, to speak about some of the safeguarding questions, including the issue of the swimming coach. But I would have hoped that that matter would have been discussed with swimming present. I know that it is completely untrue that the safeguarding committee has met only once. They have met on more than one occasion to deal with the matters that have cropped up. And I don't understand where that position or statement came from. Ms. Popel will cover the other aspects. The pre-Olympic preparation, as mentioned, SASCOC would prefer to bring in Operation Excellence again, but we're going to need assistance and funding. We are looking ourselves at creating a sports foundation with the goal of funding athletes as well. And we're looking at another strategy of bringing sponsors as well to cover some of the other costs, because the foundation will be a funding mechanism, and we're hoping to use that as a Section 18A, and as well as a BEE component, so that businesses and funders who provide that funding for us can get benefit from it as well. And this ties in with the model from Canada and America. Something else we're looking at to fund our athletes is broadcasting rights, so that we can bring in money from events that take place in South Africa and use that to support our athletes as well. The honourable member that spoke about the foundation phase of sport, SASCOC, even though it is generally stated that SASCOC is only focused at high performance, that is not true. If you look at the IOC works on nation building, works on human rights, so the IPC as well as with the Commonwealth Games. So SASCOC is a much broader movement than only focusing on athletes. And with our long-term athlete development program, clearly there's a development pathway from foundation phase or introductory phase to foundation phase to competition phase and elite phase. And our federations are the implementers of that particular process and program, as well as government. Government funding, I think the minister or the department will answer that question, as well as mass participation, as well as the governance structures of sport. We require that sports federations submit their audited financial statements and their reports as well. And I would ask the honourable member if they know of sport federations who are in dispute or have problems to forward those questions to us. We do have current federations that are in dispute, and we're dealing with those particular matters. But none of the mainstream sports of rugby, cricket, football, tennis have shown any governance problems. So I'd like to get that specific question. I've gone through the passing of the baton. I'm going to ask during the men's relay. I'm going to ask the chef de mission, who was also there at the time, to provide further background to that. The issue of no sponsors. The statement is incorrect. SASCOC never said we don't have sponsors, because Mr. Price Sport was one of our sponsors, and we had 5 others coming on board. The statement that SASCOC relayed to one of the news outlets was reported incorrectly. And SASCOC, I personally phoned the reporter to voice my concern. SASCOC's position was clear. SASCOC does not fund the bonuses, but and this was his very last sentence of his report. In fact, it was hidden away right at the bottom, that SASCOC is currently working with its partners, and one of those partners was the ministry and the department. So I think the lesson that we learned there was to be very specific about the words that we use, so that it cannot be misinterpreted. The Black African athletes coming through, I think that was you, Madam Chair. Yes, we are concerned. We are concerned that some sports need further support and need further work. But this is something we need to look at in much deeper detail to try and get to the root cause of the problem. And this is part of the review that we're doing with the department. How was the plan different, and how can we be more successful? Sometimes this elephant needs to be eaten at one step at a time, or one bite at a time. We really changed the clothing issue from Rio and London, where the athletes were more comfortable, to use the word, with the clothing, unlike the baggy tracksuits that they had in the past. They felt proud of wearing the tracksuits as well as the battle gear. But the lesson or the statements noted by the commission, by the committee, is noted. One thing that we have to learn is that if countries like England or UK Sport can give £249 million over the next 3 years to federations and to the Olympic Committee, we are going to have to work harder to support our athletes if they are going to compete against other athletes who have this much resources, and federations have this much resources allocated to them by government. And again, I want to state, I respect and appreciate the position that South Africa finds itself in, but it's a reality that we also face within the sports fraternity. And I think with regards to the athletes and their clothing, a balance is needed. And the lessons that we've learned from the suggestions is noted. And the last question, how much did the lottery provide? We received 6 million from the lottery, and I can be corrected if needed to be. We do not know what the real reasons for the lottery's drastic reduction, because I've asked this question to the CEO and the COO as to were there any letters or negative reports from the lottery about SASCOC not handing in its reports on time, and they couldn't find this type of reports or information. And that means we have to go back to the drawing board with the National Lotteries Commission. But more important, Madam Chair, the policy change by Department of Trade and Industry that SASCOC must be viewed as a national federation and therefore could only get 5 million rand a year. That is a travesty of justice. We are now showing that we produce our books on time, that we are compliant with SARS, and that we are working with our Athletes Commission for the benefit of our athletes. So we really need to start sitting down with the national lotteries for a longer term vision and a longer term approach to athlete support. Thank you, Madam Chair. And if I can ask the Chief Commissions and Ms. Popel to then answer their particular questions.
Thank you, President. The answers. Any intake from our visitors is either the SASCOC or our department. Before I get follow-up questions.
Chair, if I may answer the safeguarding questions, please.
Yes, please.
Thank you, Chair. So it's Kim Popel, SASCOC board member, responsible for safeguarding. It's just a pity we didn't get to do our safeguarding presentation earlier, because I think a lot of these questions would have been answered, with that. But to try and answer the questions posed to us, with regards to federations, that will be covered in our safeguarding presentation, who has safeguarding policies or not. With regards to screening for the Olympics, everyone was screened across 3 registers. That is your criminal check, sex offenders register, as well as the child protection register. No athlete nor coach would have got on the plane to Tokyo if they had not passed those checks. So that was with regards to the checks and the clearances done. And that was obviously speaks to coaches. With regards to coaches on the whole, SASCOC do not employ coaches. Coaches are employed by federations. So other than our multi-coded games delivery, which our chef and our COO did touch on earlier, we check as SASCOC for our teams to get on planes to go to multi-coded games. With regards to others, no, we do not check as SASCOC. Coaches going towards World Games, not World Games, sorry, the International Federation Games, that is for the National Federation to check. With regards to the health screening on a particular coach, I don't, as none of us see that other than our Chief Medical Officer. So I don't think anyone would be able to answer that other than our Chief Medical Officer with the screenings that are received. And I'm not too sure on the confidentiality with Dr. Patient. So I would leave that to our operations staff to assist us with that one. Our president did touch on the meetings in the past year of safeguarding. That is factually incorrect, that there was only 1 meeting. And I see there was a follow-up question, which we're more than happy to supply all the answers to that. Assisting victims, once again, That is also done with the federations. If we get asked as SASCOC to assist, we do put them on and facilitate with our federations to assist any victims. I'll leave the DSEC instigate, the reports, and it's instigating a report. I'll leave DSEC to answer that one. But I think it's also imperative what we talk here as well. And as I said, Sister Pity, I mentioned earlier that there is a comprehensive report on the safeguarding from SASCOC, which I hope that we will get a chance to present to the committee sometime. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Kim. Any other?
Leon? Yeah, can you respond to the other two? Yeah, thank you.
Madam Chair, I can respond to the other two. In terms of sharing medical within Namibia, that was in the Paralympic Games. The Paralympic Games is a much smaller unit than the Olympics. Sorry, Leon from SASCOC, Chef de Mission for the Paralympic Games.
The face. Are you on the screen?
Yeah, I'm on the screen. Thanks,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Okay. Okay, Leon.
So in terms of sharing medical, it's something that is widely done within the Paralympic Games because of the limited amount of accreditations we get. We have a very close working relationship with Namibia as well. However, the doctor was a South African doctor working with South African athletes and assisting Namibia as one of our counterparts. They had a very small team. They only had 3 athletes there. In terms of the relay, I didn't quite understand the question, but I do know what happened with the relay is that one of the athletes in the main relay team, Gift, was injured the day before the relay semi-final when they had to go in, and a new athlete had to come in and assist and hadn't been part of the preparation for that event based on COVID where they couldn't travel to train together. So that put a huge spanner in the works, and the relay was very much a medal prospect for us. And it was a very sad day when that happened. If the actual team was fully fit, it would have been a medal that we could have hoped on. And with the full investigation that we're going to do with the sports scientists on the results, that will be one of the things that is investigated. But yes, it was a very sad day because the 3rd and 4th athletes didn't know what was going on because they couldn't see that there was a crash between the 2 athletes on the second changeover. So that was a very upsetting thing for us, but unfortunately due to an injury completely out of our control. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Leon. President, are you happy?
Yes, Madam Chair, happy.
Okay. As when we started, the DG apologized, and then I've seen the follow-up hands. Before that, the department must chip in. I've seen your hand, Honorable Mhlongo. I'll give to you after the responses from the department. I don't know who's given the task. Yes, Honor VDG.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, and thanks a lot for the questions. I'm just going to try and answer those things that were posed to the department and where we can implement what SASCOC has indicated as well. I'll try and do that. With regard to, I may not go in any specific order, but just to talk about, firstly, I think there was a question around the relationship between the department and SASCOC. Yes, I know that it is a cordial relationship. And I think, as a new board has come in, there are new imperatives and new directives and new ways of working. But from our side, at a management level, operational level, I think we have a good relationship in terms of some of the issues that we have to deal with. It can be better. And I think importantly, Madam Chair, we need to be very clear of what the roles and responsibilities are, what the roles and responsibilities of SASCOC is, and what the roles and responsibilities of ourselves as the department. As much as, yes, it is in the National Sport and Recreation Act, but I think the amendments to the Act, we will be able to strengthen and be very clear on what each of us has to do and what is allocated to us. I think, Madam Chair, in terms of policy and legislative issues, we're very clear those are non-negotiable and they belong to the department. However, in implementing some of the issues in terms of the legislative prescripts and the policy issues, we work with SASCOC. And I think, where areas we can strengthen is around the relationship with the federations. And I think, somewhere there is also another question that touches on that with regards to the safeguarding policy, and will the department launch its own investigation on abuse of sport. I think that's where we work with SASCOC, Madam Chair. And I think we're very clear in terms of our relationship with the sports federations, that sports federations will run their own entity, they have constitutions, they have boards. And should there be any issues that they encounter, and if they are not able to resolve it themselves, then SASCOC is their first port of call before they even get to the minister. If SASCOC is unable to resolve those issues, then they would then write to the minister to say to the minister that his intervention is required. I think we're very clear on all of those things. Chairperson, I think there was also a question around the department's MOU with the Department of Basic Education. We have had an MOU that was signed off in 2018, and it is a 5-year document. However, with the fact that we have now become a merged department with the Department of the former Department of Arts and Culture, there are cross-cutting matters that we work with the Department of Basic Education that cuts across sport, it cuts across arts, culture, and even heritage. So we're revising the MOU. I think we have finalized the document, and attached to the document is a work plan between ourselves at a level of GDGs and also other management. We're still finalizing the work plan, which we then will present to our DGs and then take through to our ministers for finalization and deputy ministers. So that is where we are with the MOUs. But be that as it may, the present MOU we're still looking at making sure that all of the roles and responsibilities between ourselves and the Department of Education, we do have an implementation plan as well, and we track that as well. With regard to the Sports Trust issue, Madam Chair, we do not transfer money to the Sports Trust for SASCOC matters. I think when you look at the national lotteries, they had earmarked funding for the athletes, especially those athletes who had the potential to medal at the Olympic Games. The national lotteries had earmarked funding for those athletes, which they provided through the Sports Trust. And the incentives also for the athletes came from national lotteries through the Sports Trust. So the department has not paid any money for SASCOC matters through the Sports Trust. The issue around the department's own program of mass participation, Madam Chair, I think it's quite important that, yes, if you look at the department's programs, we are guided by the National Sport and Recreation Plan. The National Sport and Recreation Plan has four areas of an enabling environment. Four pillars that we deliver on. The first is the active nation, and that focuses on the mass participation. And then we also have the winning nation, and a lot of the winning nation focuses on our sports federations, and also importantly the issues that SASCOC deals with in terms of team preparation, etc. So those are the areas that, and then We also have the enabling mechanisms, which is our infrastructure, the enabling environment that we have in terms of, the infrastructure and other support. And importantly, Madam Chair, in our National Sport and Recreation Plan, we also look at sport and recreation, the sector being adequately transformed. And very key to the National Sport and Recreation Plan is the Transformation Charter and the Transformation Scorecard. Now, you would know, Madam Chair, that in that area of transformation, which was also an issue that was raised here, is we have the Eminent Persons Group, which is the oversight over the Transformation Charter and the Scorecard. Presently, we have 19 codes of sport that are part of the Transformation audit, and we hope to increase the number of codes. And on a yearly basis, we have a report from the EPG that indicates the outcomes or the state of transformation in those 19 codes of sport. And also, it indicates the recommendations that we need to take forward. And a lot of those recommendations that must be implemented, it focuses on what the department needs to do, what SASCOC needs to do, what the Department of Basic Education needs to do, and what our federations need to do, and what the EPG themselves has to do. And Madam Chair, I think very clearly from those reports, the one thing that comes out very clearly is this pipeline that we talk about, and that is the issue of school sport. And the report is very clear that much of what the Federation's pool of talent comes from 20% of the schools, mostly the Model Cs and the private schools and the ex-Model C schools, which still have a culture of sport. And yes, it has to, there are the many public schools and many in rural areas still have a long way to go in terms of providing a full bouquet of school sport programs. The other issue that comes out of there is also the demographics of the country, the population, and very clearly the greater population of the country is the under 18s, and the challenge, Madam Chair, is that if you're looking at the sports federations and their resource base in terms of the administration, many of them are the white resource base that are aging, and definitely there is an effort that needs to be made to ensure that we train and we get on board our resource base of the under 18s who are our future generations of sports administrators and technical officials and others within the sporting landscape. Madam Chair, our own programs. Let me go back about the mass participation. I think, Madam Chair, we must be quite clear that in the mass participation, and if we have to link it to our budget, the department has the entire Department of Sport, Arts and Culture has a budget of about 5.6 billion, but only 993.9 million of that is allocated for sport, for sports programs. If we look at our active nation, where our mass participation is, there's 714 million rands allocated to that. But of that, 591 million rand goes towards the conditional grant, which is transferred to the 9 provinces. Now, within the 9 provinces, Madam Chair, we focus on, within the conditional grant, there's a focus on school sport. The bulk of the funding, 40% of that conditional grant goes towards school sport. And then we have programs in community sport, which speaks to national youth camps. We've had the big work where we've got thousands of people encouraging and promoting active and healthy lifestyles. We have a National Recreation Day, which also moves towards, promotes active and healthy lifestyles. And this is a program, a day that is a cabinet approved day. Our big walk is aligned to the World Walking Day. So we try and align the programs to what is happening around the world. And then we have community outreach programs. So I think importantly, Madam Chair, the funding in the provinces goes towards club development, school sport, community sport. We also fund sports academies in provinces, etc. And that is part of your whole active nation and mass participation programs. I'm just trying to see whether we, with regard to the issue of governance within sports federations, I think the President has covered on some of the issues. Madam Chair, I think for us, the issues that come to before the minister normally are many of the disputes that perhaps some federations or even the provincial entities, when there are issues of dispute, when there's flouting of the constitution, then it lands before the minister. But we actually refer these matters to SASCOC before we go in and deal with those matters. We must indicate, Madam Chair, that there are some federations. We know that basketball has now presented to the committee. They've gone through an AGM, etc., and they're trying to get their house in order. We still have issues around chess, and I think they've also presented themselves before the portfolio committee. There are issues with chess, and I think it's also playing itself out because we have school sport championships and we have chess, which is very popular amongst the learners at schools, and we keen that they will be participating in the school sport championships. But we are aware that young learners are also now wanting to participate at African championships, etc. And the worrying part is that there's no structure that manages them, and as a result, they've been asked to pay for themselves to go to those events. So that is still a very worrying issue around chess, Madam Chair. Then there are issues of transformation within cycling, which are constantly coming to the minister. We've had discussions with SASCOC around that, the cycling issues that they are also managing. We've also had disputes in motorsports that have come before us as well, which we have referred to SASCOC to deal with as well. And they've given us a report on that. I'm not sure, Madam Chair, if there's anything else that we've left. I think the issue of compliance and the funding, Madam Chair. Importantly, Madam Chair, I think we're very particular that when we fund SASCOC and even the sports federations, that we are guided by the PFMA. We cannot change that. The PFMA is very clear of how we fund federations. There needs to be compliance documents in terms of audited financial statements, in terms of annual reports, in terms of compliance certificates. Now, we've started a process in June already, Madam Chair, and I know that there'll be complaints that we take too long, we haven't funded federations as yet. But we started a process in June where in the last 2 years, SASCOC themselves have done research, and they presented to us to say that because of COVID, there are new pressures from the federations. So, Madam Chair, we then took the liberty to take that research and we redid our funding framework. We reviewed our funding framework so that the federation, we then respond to what the federations want. And hence, last year and this year, we started to make new calls, and in June, we asked the federations to give us their business plans, their proposals of what they want to fund. And we've given timelines by which time they must submit their documents. Not all of them have submitted. I think by the time we wanted those documents, only about 10 out of 68 federations had submitted documents, and others, as they are submitting it, we find that there are gaps and there are non-compliance with those documents, and we've had to send them back. So, Madam Chair, at this stage, we've not yet paid any federations their funding. We will do so before the end of December because of the fact that the checks and balances, and when we sign off the SLAs with them, we must ensure that everything is in place and it complies with the legislative framework. Madam Chair, I think let me stop there. If there's anything to follow up, we will await the committee's response. Thanks.
Thank you, DTG. DM, I'm feeling that because I'm seeing a follow-up hands, can I give you the last comments of yourselves in order that if these follow-ups hands, they wanted something, and then I will ask you to round up when everything is being done. Honorable Mhlongo and Honorable Zond.
Thanks, Chair. Ngiyambona ukuthi yemufuna ukukhuluma nje video. But nonetheless,
uzaba isweeper yethu DM we outstanding we outstanding issues she's going to be our sweeper.
But no responded to our question. We really appreciate that. And
kodwa last time ubusithethisile ukuthi akasa attend.
Ama-meeting ayithu awaluzile. Yeah, no.
Kodwa wasithethisa, usithethisile kakhulu. Qhubeleka. Hayi, usithethisile.
But nonetheless, thanks, TM. Note that we appreciate your presence as a deputy. And I believe if I was a deployee of the ANC, I was going to deploy it directly to be the minister. But nonetheless, we're not there. Chairperson, I wanted to follow up on my question. I'm not happy with the response. You know, sometimes the president tends to be technical when he responds. My question was clear, and they need a fair answer. And for us to have a cordial relationship with the president, I think he must be honest to the committee. And I'm not asking this question personal. I'm asking because I'm doing my oversight work. And when I'm doing this, I want to understand. Firstly, the issue here, the gentleman by the name of Ufondisa, I'm not happy with the response. I don't want to go back there. I think maybe I'll ask for a detailed report. Can we have a detailed report in our next, or they'll send it to the department because they say to the committee secretary, future person, and then you circulate. Because we need that detailed report to exactly know what is it and what is it all about. Because one of the things I wanted to follow up, the DDG stated clearly, they're saying they don't put money with sport trust. If I'm Mzwele, DDG, can you make confirm? Yes. Now I can put it to you, DDG, that there's money that went to sport trust. I can put it to you that, and I won't say how much is it, but it's fine. There's money that went to sport trust, and I wanted to find out who are the members of sport trust. The board, is it council or board members? Who are they? Can we have the actual names of all of those board members of sport trust? And so why I was linking sport trust and the SASCOC, I think it is clear in my question. It seems like SASCOC money, it's like an agency. And I think you are aware Sport Trust has part Naguma COVID has been involved. It has been involved with COVID. Now it's either a Sport Trust are these both projects that we're not aware of that are doing things. And I'm not even happy with the responses women report. What is the status says women report? I'm a recommendation. All of them, how far they can you maybe put a percentage out of, you know, how far are they? When is their turnaround time? I'm not happy in responding equally lecture on that. Last question, Chair, regarding why this year, and the in fact the DM will respond even political. DM, I put it to you, but this year it was poorly done for our incentive for our athlete. It was poorly done. Every year, check as of 2016 going backwards, our athletes will know as a committee how much are they going to get, will know when is the event, will know there won't be what we had this year. It was badly managed, poorly managed, it was uncalled for. Yes, even if there's no money, but there must be allocation set aside, even 100 rand, and we know that 100 rand will say thank you. Now, what I'm saying here, I wonder what presidency are we setting up for us when we go internationally. We don't honor our ambassadors because it's a culture of this department. Go backwards. Honorable Umbalula, but he did well with that space. He did well. I can give him an A with that space, but the minister this time I'll give a F. Because we failed this year to honor our ambassadors after Tokyo. Now, Chair, why was this done, and what strategy or what going forward to go to 2024? What are we going to do in 2024? What are the plans? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Mhlongo. Honorable Zondi.
Chair, thank you very much. Two things quickly. On the issue of the colors, I just want to concur with you. We are coming from the very disadvantaged background, where the colors of the country was the thing of the chosen few. Now we're proud of our colors. We want our colors in every event, opening ceremony. You won't see England or America in a traditional attire. We are not saying traditional attire is prohibited in South Africa for any team. You can wear the traditional attire, but not in the opening ceremony. In the opening ceremony, we want our colors because we want to be known as South Africa. South Africa should be known in any event, whether it's soccer, swimming, Olympics, or any event. The opening ceremony should be, South Africa should be seen as in their colors. That is what we want to emphasize, Chair. The second one, Chair, on the transformation agenda, I asked a question to SASCOC. I didn't ask, Chair, in terms of the law, what is their understanding? I said, what is their understanding in terms of the transformation agenda? Because the mandate from the law is something else. But your understanding as someone who is in charge of that particular entity, your existence, that is what I wanted to know. And I got the answer. The department, in their understanding, the department facilitate and they implement. But on the issue of transformation, the department should implement. That is what the president is saying. And I don't understand. Because if the department is facilitating and they are implementing, which means the department does not have the transformational agenda. But I want to state this, Chair. The transformational agenda is not for the department. It's not for the committee. It's not for the president or the minister. It's for all South Africans who are doing it for the country, not for certain people or individuals or a group. Transformation is here for all of us. If we are given a position for responsibility, it is your responsibility to deal with the transformation. So transformation is not for honorable minister or the DG or the committee. All of us should be, transformation should be on our agenda, all of us, not for the chosen few. That is what I wanted to emphasize, Chair, moving forward. And you can see that SASCOC, in terms of development and transformation, they are saying they have not reached 50%. And I don't know why. I don't know, because the department is listening. What are the hiccups? What are the challenges that you are failing to reach 50%? Because if it is in your agenda, in any development or any development, in any selection criteria or process, you should remind yourself that transformation should be in top of your agenda and not the other way around. Thanks, Chair.
Oh, sorry, President. Now is the time that we must respond with the team.
Yes, only on your command, Madam Chair, only on your command or instruction. Honourable Mhlongo, a detailed report will be prepared for the committee. on the matter of payment to the board member. As well as the Zulman report, which is currently being wrapped up, and as I said, was mentioned by the ministers in his speech. Those are urgent topics to be completed. As stated, SASCOC notes the recommendations by the committee regarding the opening ceremony clothing. It is something that we will also engage with our athletes and with the Athletes Commission Chair, Mr. Khotso Mokoena, who is also present at this meeting today. The transformation agenda is a national agenda, and no one can run away from that. But if I can ask the committee to also support us in calling for a review of the 2011 National Sports and Recreation Plan, so that our roles and responsibilities can once more be reviewed and redefined. And this is something that we think is critical to take this country forward, as well as sport forward, because that document serves as a basis from which we can move over and above the National Sports and Recreation Act. And I look forward to that process starting as well. Again, when it comes to transformation, I want to state that even the National Sports and Recreation Plan states that it is the federations who are the implementers, and that SASCOC has specific roles and responsibilities that we tackle, including gender, including athletes' roles and responsibilities. And SASCOC does do that, but almost as an umbrella body. And we can engage, and as I said, I think it's important that we review this NSRP to redefine and to provide us with more goals. The last goals of the NSRP, I think, closed in 2013, and it's in need of urgent review. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. President. GM.
Thank you very much, Chair, for this opportunity. And I really would like to appreciate the reports that have been tabled here by both the department and SASCOC, but also appreciate more the questions that have been asked by the members of the portfolio committee. Because if you listen carefully to the questions that have been asked, they come from a deep place of love for the country of South Africa. The questions are about how we can do better as a country on an international stage so that we all can be proud of who we are and where we come from. And one of the things I really want to just touch on, which was asked, is the issue of the relationship between the department and SASCOC. And I think that the president tried to relate to this question, and also the DDG tried to relate to this question. But what is important is for all of us to understand that the relationship between the department and SASCOC, which everybody has said is governed by both the Act and the National Sports and Recreation Plan. But also remember, the department has a relationship with the federation, and the department has a relationship again with SASCOC. And it's important that those relationships must become so cordial to the fact that there's harmony in all that is being done for the benefit of the country. And what then the Eminent Persons Group, which is EPG, does in terms of monitoring, if the federations are meeting the transformation agenda, is not only done because you just want to tick the box. You're doing it because you are wanting to make sure that the transformation agenda is met at all levels. That relationship between SASCOC itself and the federations, which are its affiliates, is important, because then, as they say, they monitor and the federations are implementers. That relationship amongst all these people is critical to make sure that the work is done well. I really want to appreciate the review task team that Patient spoke about in the DG, that looks at what has happened pre-Tokyo
during Tokyo and post-Tokyo. And that report, once it is completed, must be presented to this portfolio committee. Because my suspicion is that that report will then give a full picture of what needs to be done, because that report should be the basis of us preparing for 2024, for Paris and for LA in 2028. That report will be able to tell us what is it that we must do better to improve. And also, the discussion here has also shown clearly that, Chair, it is not about the numbers or the big team that you would have the medals. It is about the preparedness of the team and how that team is well oiled to make sure that we come back with the medals. You can take a big team and come back with 0 medals. And those are the things that we take to heart and we are able to understand and deal with. But I want the SASCOC to really look at this thing of their relationship with lottery. And I think we must not just pass it as if it's just. President himself says, previously, Rio, they were given 100 million. Now, suddenly, they were given 6 million. And he said they had looked back into their documents to see if there's anything that they did wrong. And nobody seems to understand why that money. And now lottery is treating them as a federation instead of an umbrella body. Those are the things that needs to be discussed and be clarified before 2024 Paris, because you are not going to be able to leave these things and want to deal with them closer to the time. We asked this question, and I remember in the portfolio committee before Tokyo, this question was asked by these members of the committee, that there was some problem, that lottery had raised issues, that there was problems with how you had accounted. And I remember very well the acting CEO saying, as far as they know, there's nothing like that. All that has happened is that lottery just dropped the money and treated them as a federation. It needs to be clarified. We need to deal with that and be able to make sure that as we prepare wholeheartedly across the board and make sure that we have everything that is questionable clarified, so that you are not going to be blaming one person or the other. We must all take responsibility for preparing for the team moving forward. We would want to see a better team. We've done better before, and we can do better moving forward. And we all need to make sure that we are able to clarify and deal with the things that were not. I know that all of us here, we are saying the relationship is cordial between the department and SASCOC. We also know, we were sitting in this committee before Tokyo, when we were dealing with the strained relationship between SASCOC and the department. We are happy. We are happy that at least there is improvement in that relationship. But it must not be like there was never problems between the department and SASCOC, so that we move forward understanding that now we are trying to make sure, because here the priority is the athletes, not SASCOC, not the department, not the minister. It's the athletes and the South African people who love sport, who want to see sport doing well. And all of us, we must then put our heads together and make sure that we do what we are all put here to do. Thank you very much, Chair. I thought it's important that we put those things in perspective.
DM, you have said a mouthful, but I'm happy that the President, in whatever we've proposed, we've looked at the weakness, the gaps that SASCOC has between themselves and the department. As a committee doing an oversight, we'll always raise these things for the interest of the people whom we are all representing It's either the department, the SASCOC, and as this committee, our own interest also is to see this smoothly going on of the sport and the transformation of the sport. So I'm suspecting this is our good meeting after really, even with us, SASCOC, you remember our last meetings with you, SASCOC. I cannot say that even our own relationship with you, SASCOC, was cordial because we were robust on an oversight to you. I'm suspecting it was not an easy meeting when we were preparing for the AGM, and when some of the members, they were even raising, who's this keeping in? I'm suspecting we are going to taking serious this question of this member only sometimes becomes a journalist and sometimes wanted to get in forcefully from our administration. Those things we must make them to be cleared in order that when we are coming, we were coming for a good business of looking of the sport in order that also when these federations and some of them coming to ourselves as a committee, will be having an understanding that they do fail down there. Even they must also respect you as an umbrella body, let alone the department. But with those words, I'm saying that thank you very much. We may give you the last words, and we're going to release you, President, with your colleagues.
Thank you, Chairperson. It is always a privilege to speak to the Portfolio Committee because I understand, realize the importance of us being open and transparent with the South African public, and in terms of your responsibilities as oversight. As the Deputy Minister has said, yes, we know where SASCOC's past came from, and the board of SASCOC is working extremely hard to correct its own governance as well as its own programs. And the only way we can do this, Madam Chair, is to work with people and with organizations such as yourself, and to know when we need to report back on these important matters that affect sport in our country. Thank you for the opportunity to once again present to you, and I'm to thank the staff members as well as the board members of SASCOC for being present, and then lastly to the department as well as to the honourable members of the Commission and yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you, President. You may be released now. Honourable members, thank you also for your robust engagement. That's the committee that I'm chairing. Now, DM, we're doing our own things now as this committee. Let me also thank you with the encourage from your department that Ubukobako with us when we are not having other tasks, because past weeks we did get your apologies and we were aware where you are because those apologies were transparent. Thank you that whenever you're not given other task, you do join this committee as a political head. Thank you so much, DM.
Thank you so much, Chair. We are leaving now. Honorable Msongo, we are leaving now.
Yes. Honorable members, non-zaba yaka yekunjomani. Honorable members, Let me take this opportunity now to thank you again, honorable members, your oversight role, your robust discussion. I'm suspecting we'll be leaving a good legacy together. Now, the next item, as we have read and wanted the staff of this committee that we cannot look and talk to the proposed report of our budgetary review. We did read, we did see our own recommendations as this committee. The only thing now I can say, can this report be tabled, and can members, if they've did see gaps in the report, we must finalize that and adopt our own report. I thank you. Yes. Honorable members, this is our report. You may move, because we have a week, if it's not a week, or some days that we're sleeping with it. Move, whoever who's doing this, please move. This is one.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I see Fiona's hand is up, Madam Chair.
Whose hand?
Fiona.
Oh, Fiona.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just got one addition to add to suggest for the recommendations. As I was going through the notes from our meetings, one of our members recommended that because of the budget of the department that was slashed by 956 million rand due to the COVID reprioritization, that the department should try to recoup that money in some way. And I think that's a recommendation that should be made to the Minister of Finance. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Fiona. Honorable members, as we are listening to Fiona, it's only that omission of what we have said to the department through our go to that to that point that we are talking about, because we have read the report in order that if members also do have other recommendations that we are thinking that were not captured. Yes. Go up 7.1 and 2, we did say that in 3. Yes, vacancies. Yes, consequence management. Strengthen the internal controls. It was even the recommendation of the AG. I do feel that, honorable members, yes. Yes. Move. Move GBV up. Heritage. Yes, this thing of Mamu Winnie and Sarah Batman. Every day we're talking about these heritage projects. Yes. Yeah, it's a white paper issue. Yeah. What are you doing, Fion? 7.13.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I'm trying to include the recommendation that Fiona just mentioned. Yes. But I would like her maybe to write it on the chat so that I can see it because I don't have it on my side.
Do so, Fiona.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I see Mr. Zondi's hand is up whilst Fiona is giving me the last recommendation.
Honorable Zondi. Honorable Zondi.
Yes, Chair. You asked a question and you correctly said you think we received and read the report, and yes, we did. We don't. Oh, may I say, I don't support the report that does not have timelines, Chair. This one, it has our views and the timeline in each and every view we made as a committee. So you don't have something that will be implemented when we are dead. That is why I move that we support it. Thank you, Chair.
I nearly not understand you, but thank you now. Fiona, your hand is still up. Honorable members, this is the only inclusion of mute. Mute. Honorable members, I'm tabling this report and this recommendation that we made as this committee that as Honorable Zondi is saying that is supporting the report, especially when we're supporting, we do support our recommendations, which is the core and engine of the report. I've seen the hand of Honorable Adams.
Thank you, Chairperson. I wanted to second the adoption of the report with all heading recommendations and also the points that are included to the report. I second the report. Thank you, Chair.
Honorable members. Hey, jumpa manje. Izanthola iCovid nyawuthi bosololo. Okay, thank you, honorable members. The report is being seconded, and who is not agreeing with the report has got a right to say yes, honorable.
I've been raising my hand. I thought you was on visa. It's fine.
I'm sorry, honorable Mhlongo.
Yeah.
I didn't say it, Baba.
We have our rights, Chairperson, on the report.
Come again, honorable Mhlongo.
We have our rights. Can you know that we reserve our rights?
Yes, no, I know very well, honorable Mhlongo. Honorable members, the report has been supported. The honorable member from our committee and from the DA, they are reserving their right, and which is allowed according to the rules of the Parliament. By that, honorable member, thank you so much, honorable member. I do appreciate the work that we are all doing. Let's go to the last point of adoption of minutes. How many sets of minutes, Zoe?
We have 4 sets, Madam Chair.
Yes. I don't want not to mention that we have 4 sets of minutes. Honorable members, our administration staff of ours, they've circulated these minutes. Let's go to the minutes of the 9th of November of AG. Move. Please move. Honorable members, we're part of this day of the AG's meeting with us. I'm proposing that we must adopt these minutes. Honorable Zondi, Honorable Adams.
Ngiyabonga sihlalo, bengipropose ukuthi le mizuzu siyithathe. Ngiyabonga.
Honorable Adams.
Thank you, Chairperson. I second the proposal. Thank you.
I'm seeing the, oh, okay. Any other view? Thank you, honorable members. These minutes now are true reflection and we are adopting them. Thank you. The next set of the minutes, the next set of the minutes, honorable members, it was 12th of November, a briefing by e-boxing, which is Isanapo. We're part of that meeting. Let's go up. Honorable members, we finished this meeting on that day at 11:45 and we adjourned. I'm tabling these minutes of Sanabo to you, honorable members. Any reflection, any proposal of adoption of the minutes? Honorable Malomane.
Thank you, Chair. I move for the adoption of the minutes.
Honorable Adams.
Thank you, Chairperson. I second on the proposal. I thank you.
Thank you so much, honorable members. Any other hand with another view? Thank you, honorable members. These meetings, these minutes are now approved to be true reflection of what we've discussed. Thank you, honorable members. Put another set of honorable members, on the 19th of November, the briefing by the department. Can you move? Honorable members, I'm putting to you these minutes that you must acknowledge and adopt them as our true reflection of that day of 19th. Can I propose that they must be adopted? Honorable Malomane.
Thank you, Chair. I move for the adoption. This is a true reflection of our meeting. Thank you.
Honorable Zondi.
Thanks, Chair. I do second.
I don't see any other opposing hand. The meeting, the minutes are adopted. Thank you, honorable members. The last set of minutes, 23rd, on my day that I was born. Okay, go on. Honorable members, this is our last minutes of last Tuesday. Yes, Honorable Denise.
Sorry to interrupt. I've raised my hand.
Yes.
I just wanted clarity on the minutes of the 23rd that you've, or the minutes you placed on the, it is on the screen now. I just want clarity in terms of the notification, and I didn't print the minutes, I must be honest, because in terms of the notification that we received of the agenda for today, it refers to the SASCOC and the department's presentations, and then it refers to the committee minutes of the 9th, the 12th, and the 19th. So in terms of the agenda that we that we adopt also that includes the minutes that we will adopt today. I just wanted to know if the other members have printed that minutes and read it, because I didn't, because the agenda of today didn't ask me to read that minutes today, the set that we have in front of us now. Thank you, Chairperson.
This question I cannot answer. When the minutes are circulated, I'm suspecting each and every member, they must read those minutes. So I'm not able to answer that question available as it is, but I've read all the minutes that were forwarded to us. Honorable members, there is a question by Honorable Dennis.
Excuse me, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I can just indicate, Madam Chair, that when all the minutes were initially circulated, the last set of minutes was not finalized. And as soon as it was finalized, I circulated it to members. That was on Sunday.
Yeah.
Person?
Yes, Honorable Mhlongo.
I think can I come in with not only any reports, any documents that we receive, minutes or anything, presentation, it must be 72 hours before the meeting. That's the rule says that. Not a night before, but 72 hours. I think it's on the rules. If your office can check, it says that.
Yes.
I wanted to
okay. Okay. Come on. No, I was thinking that we have done, Honorable Mhlongo. The minutes were circulated on Sunday. Today it's Tuesday.
It depends what time, Chair. I think maybe Honorable Dennis, it depends with what time. For my view, you check 72 hours. It's Sunday night, Awibali Sunday. It's Monday, it's 24 hours. Tuesday, it's not 72 hours.
You don't count Sunday. Why are we not counting?
I mean, if you get Sunday, you cannot say Sunday, it's 24 hours. If you've sent the minutes on 7 o'clock Sunday at night, as an example, you'll count 24 hours, it's 24 hours, it's a night.
Honorable members, if honorable members are feeling that these minutes are not reaching the norms and standards, can we waive that these minutes must come on it's either tomorrow or on Friday? I'm suspecting it's not a big issue. Thank you, honorable members. Honorable Dennis.
Now, Chairperson, if sorry, thank you, Chairperson. I've followed the notification of the dates that stipulated which minutes will be adopted today. So if I missed it, then I'm sorry, it's my apology. And I said it's up to the committee to decide. I just wanted to make it clear. I didn't read the minutes, so if the committee wants to adopt, then it's fine, they may proceed. But I think I appreciate your suggestion, Chairperson, that it be left for the next meeting to be dealt with. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Dennis. Honorable Malomane.
Thank you, Chairperson. I think because these are minutes, my view, it was that we do the adoption of these minutes than to refer them, because this, as I have just went through them, is the true reflection of what has transpired in our meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Chairperson, I have another view. You know, the presidency that we set in, let's not say do as I say, we must say do as I do. Now it's so ethically for us to say people must not give us reports overnight, but now we adopt them. I'm just saying what it's uncalled for. I don't support that notion. The president that we said, whatever that is good for the left-hand side must be good for the right-hand side. It's our committee, it's our report. Our report must come in time. Like last time, the BRRR draft report, we had to tell them not to have that report. I'm just saying, let's not mix issues. Let's be principled. Let's set a good precedence even in ourselves. Thanks, Chair.
Can I take this opportunity to thank all the members that just contributed in this issue? Can we refer these minutes that they must be in the set of minutes? It's either tomorrow we have a committee or Friday, in order that we must do what is right and correct for the committee. If one member doesn't have chance to read minutes, whilst we still have a chance of doing so, honorable members, let's defer these minutes. And then
so Friday, I think Friday will do, Chairperson.
Who's that?
Mama Bol, remember, was out because of network, but I support Honorable Mutlongo that we defer the minutes to Friday's meeting.
Honorable you're surprising us, honorable members. Let me take this opportunity to thank all of you, honorable members, and the meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.
Chairperson, on a point of exigence, even if it's urgent, abantu akumele bathi abazosecond izinto abangazi ukufika nje.
I've been here all around the chat.
Which question in now?
Thank you, Chair. The meeting is adjourned.
Sharp, Mama Paul. Bye, colleagues. Bye.
Bye, colleagues.